Yo, what up to all my degenerates? Welcome back, baby. Let's go. Let's get it. It's March Madness time. Let's go, boys, girls, whoever's betting, as long as you're over 18. I think that's the rule anyway. Welcome back. This is Spreads and Props. My name is Derek. Every time I put out a video, I say I'm going to be more consistent with videos, and then I have a life. You can see I have right here behind me, there's like a gingerbread house. We're doing the best we can here to get you some picks. But this is really my favorite time of the year to do these kind of sports videos for friends and just people on the internet, anybody who stumbles upon it, because it's college basketball time. It's time to take everything we've seen over the last couple of months and put it to use, because these games matter now, every single one of them. And today's slate on Tuesday, March the 3rd, is fantastic. There are tons, almost every good ranked team is in action. We saw some fun stuff over the end of the weekend, and then going into this week, there's just lots of good matchups. You know, stuff like Alabama and Georgia, and Missouri and Texas A&M, games that aren't even going to make my list here just because they're so sharp. But lots of good games. So if you just turn on your television on a Tuesday, you're going to see a ton of good basketball with good teams matched up. And I'm going to do the best to give you some picks on what I have here. I have 5 sides or 5 spreads that I like and 4 totals. Some of these I would consider them leans. I'm not a handicapper by any means, but I do have a model that I've been developing over the last, I would say, 5 weeks. And it's had some rough edges, but I've kind of really refined it down to what I'm actually looking for here, which are tight basketball games at the end of the season that matter. And we get a lot of kind of variable data that we can use to kind of come up with these outcomes. And then I use the eye test as well. So if you're looking for a video with a bunch of graphics on it and, oh my God, Kansas here. Stupid. That doesn't change the way that you pick basketball. I'm talking to you about the stuff that I see with numbers and just kind of the eye test, and we'll go from there. So without further ado, let's jump into it. I love mid-major basketball. So that's my first talking point, because I am going to jump right into mid-major basketball. UMBC, the Rovers, they have won 9 of their last 10 straight up there, 8-2 covering the number, so they have been a wagon. And they're playing the lovely New Jersey Institute of Technology. And this line is only 4.5. My model makes it 8. So that was the first glaring thing. Is anything over like 2.5 points, my radars go off. I'm like, why is the book here and this model, which is very similar to KenPom. If you know what KenPom is, we're taking offensive and defensive efficiency metrics and combining them with strength of schedule and things like that, just that kind of get us down to a number. And then we can say, hey, let's look at what these teams have done in their last 5 or 10 games. And UMBC has been on a roll. The only caveat is it's senior night in New Jersey Institute of Technology. That shouldn't matter. UMBC, they've won 8 straight, and NJIT, or NJIT, as they would say, and the kids would say, they've lost 3 in a row. This line is confusing to me, but I can't just look past the confusion. This number should be 8 or 9. So this is going to be my first pick. The only issue is UMBC has locked up the 1 seed in their conference tournament already, so they don't have anything to play for in this game. But these teams don't just practice losing all of a sudden, because they don't have these deep rosters with 3, 4, and 5-star recruits that they can just pull off the bench and start playing. So you got to play your players. And these players will play. And this UMBC, I've already locked it in on a couple parlays. But this is one of my favorite bets on the board, if not my favorite bet on the board, and I'll get to that in a little bit. But we're going to go with the UMBC Rovers minus 4.5 against New Jersey Institute of Technology. I'd play this up to 5.5. If it gets 6 is a key number in basketball. It's 2 possessions. The free throws at the end of the game matter. And UMBC at 4.5 is just, that's too low for me. So I've got a fire on that one. So we're going to take that one first. And then we'll get into some good basketball here for you guys. Some stuff. These teams that I am going to go through next are most, if not all of them, are going to make the tournament. They have conference tournament coming up, but these games matter for conference tournament seeding and just overall momentum. These guys want to keep their momentum going. And we like a good momentum team. So This next game, I wavered back and forth on this because my model has this at, we're going to go Texas Tech at home hosting TCU. Right now, Joe Lunardi's got TCU in the field of 68 as the last team making it out of the Big 12. And they've earned it. Listen, they've won 6 of 7. Can't help myself. And they play really good defense, this team. And at home, if this game was at home, I think the number would be more like 5 or 6 TCU. But my model has it at taking TCU plus 9.5. I found a Texas Tech minus 7.5. And my thought process is simple. And I'm going against the model on this one, which may be what you shouldn't do. But just my eye test weighing in on it kind of has to. First thought is JT Toppin going out for the year. He was the conference player of the year last year. He was possibly going to be the conference player of the year again this year. Huge loss for Texas Tech. And what have they done in those games? They have become the number 1 offensive efficiency metric team in the entire country, not just their conference, in their country. And for a Texas Tech team, that is odd. They are a defensive program. They have hung their hat on that end of the court for a while, ever since they've been good. And I think that comes into play today because TCU is also that team. And TCU is going to try to exploit what Texas Tech has been doing lately. They use Anderson a lot in pick and roll at the top, and that's how they've been getting shooting. Donovan Atwell has shot 57% from 3 over their last 3 games in this 3-game winning streak. This pocket that they're in here, it's seen them beat Iowa State, which doesn't say much if you watched Iowa State play last night. Arizona thumped them. But that Iowa State game was very physical, and I think that it wore on the Iowa State team to where they didn't have anything to give Arizona. In this matchup, TCU is scrapping and clawing to get in. And if this game was at TCU, I think I could take TCU on the money line almost. Because eventually this Texas A&M thing has to fall apart without your best player, right? Not fall apart to where they lose every game, but they can't keep winning like this. They're beating good teams without all of their players, but they've found a way to change their offense and to become this number 1 offense without their best offensive player. So, I can't make complete heads or tails of it. TCU, their biggest problem, they have won 6 out of the last 7, like I said, but what they're doing over that window of time is really, really weird. And it's their offensive efficiency, they're 295th in the country in effective field goal percentage over this 6 out of 7 winning. So they're not scoring. And if they do score, it's because they're getting turnovers, offensive rebounds, and getting to the foul line. And Texas Tech just, if you want to muck up a game like that against Texas Tech, they're going to beat you. And I don't think they're going to get that opportunity. This number, getting it at 7.5, I'm still really weary on whether I want to take this on fully and say, yes, for sure, Texas Tech minus 7.5 is a slam dunk. By no means is it the best bet on the board, but with this game being a good game, I believe that Texas Tech has enough to continue this win streak and figure it out, because I think TCU is going to have trouble scoring the ball. And I think maybe Texas Tech does too, and that'll play into something we'll talk about when we're talking about some totals in a little bit. I really like that one, but I'm going to go ahead, this being a system play and saying take TCU, I'm just going to fade it. I'm going to go with Texas Tech on this one. I don't blame you if you don't take it, but we'll just... The way that Texas Tech has figured out how to score the ball and with this offense, I think they do enough down the stretch and hold TCU down with their kind of lackluster offense into a grinded out game here. I could see Texas Tech maybe getting over 70 points and holding TCU down in like 65 or something like that, and this line being kind of close. So we'll go with that one. We're going to move on to another heavyweight matchup. 2 teams making the tournament. We have the Clemson Tigers heading into Chapel Hill to take on North Carolina. North Carolina has won 21 straight games at home against non-ranked AP opponents. Clemson was a ranked AP opponent 5 weeks ago when they were 20-4, and they look like they could challenge anybody, especially in the ACC. And they lost 4 of 5. They lost to Virginia Tech, They lost to Wake. They lost to Florida State, and they lost to Duke, which is an expected loss. But what's really troubling about Clemson is they haven't been themselves here. If this game was on a neutral court, I think Clemson, having just pulled out a game against Louisville, who I think is a good team, maybe this number, I don't know. Again, my model's got this number at 5.5 for North Carolina being at home. I see 3.5 everywhere. I'm going to take it at 2.5 at -135 just to be sure, because I do expect a close game here. I do think Clemson is going to give it everything they have. Carolina could easily be looking ahead to Duke this weekend, so don't take that lightly. And everybody and their mother will be on Carolina. Carolina is already a very public team to bet, and Carolina at a short number like 3.5 is going to be enticing, and this is what the books want you to do. They want you to bet Carolina because they think Clemson can win the game, and they want to make some money. That's the idea for them, right? So this does feel like a trap, kind of like the Texas Tech game we were just talking about. Is Texas Tech 10 points better than TCU? Not without JT Toppin, they're not. Can they beat them by 10? Certainly. They've figured out a new way to play basketball. And Carolina's done the same. They're top 40 in offense, which you expect from a Carolina team. But they're top 40 in defense, too. And that you do not expect. They have been a classic, we're going to outscore you team for the better part of the last decade since Roy Williams left. They kind of forgot how to play defense. But this team, especially without Caleb out there, Caleb Wilson not being out there is a big deal. He did get his cast off, so he is going to be back, I believe, for the NCAA tournament, and maybe he gets a game in the ACC tournament just to get his feet back under him. If you don't know who he is, all-world freshman. Missing him, this line would be 6 or 7 again if he was playing, but he's not, so we got to kind of look at that with a grain of salt. So just quickly to motor through it, UNC, I got him -2.5. I got to take that. Prove me wrong, Clemson. They have not looked like themselves. Losing to Wake, losing to Virginia Tech, especially losing to my Seminoles, something's not there. I still think they make the tournament, but because of their strong 20-4 start. But this is a public play, and I'm going to be on the sharp side. I'm going to look like an idiot here. I'm going to be up square and take the public side. But Carolina, that number is just too enticing. Let's pop back over real quick to a mid-major game I do really like a lot. The Kent State Golden Flashes. If you watch MAC basketball, there are a few teams in the MAC that love to score. Akron scores a ton of points. Toledo does like to score a lot of points. And this Kent State team, who over the last couple of years has really, really turned it up, they score 85 points a game. They give up 80 points a game, but they're playing on the road at Northern Illinois. Northern Illinois scored 43 points in their last game. That's not a mistake. That's not in a half. 43 points against a team that averages 85. This line is 10. Doesn't make much sense, right? Because Kent State gives up so many points, I think is why they think like all of a sudden NIU is going to find their offense in this game. The moral of the story is, let's see. NIU is 320, excuse me, let me get these numbers right. 323rd in team field goal percentage this year. There's like 370 teams in the NCAA Division I, and these guys are ranking in that bottom like 2% of field goal percentage. They're atrocious field goal percentage. Their defense is 248th in the country. They give up 76 points a game. So if they're going to give up to a team that scores 85, let's just split it down the middle and say 82. Is NIU going to score 70 points? They scored 43. No, they're not. They're not. There's two bad defenses in this game. There's one really good offense in this game. 10.5 points is not enough. This should be like 14 or 15. That's what I make it as in the model, even as a road game. If you want to be safe, another line that I looked at is Kent State's team total over 78.5. So for them to score 79 points, I realize with an NIU team that might not score a lot, this game might just drag out, but I don't think Kent State's going to take their foot off the gas. They just don't know how. They score a lot of points. So I'm asking them to score 7 less than their average on the season against a team that plays terrible defense. And if NIU is scoring, even better. Let's go. Kent State score more points. So I think I'm going to take both of those. Kent State minus 10.5 is the better play for me, but Kent State team total over 78.5 I'm in on as well. So like that one. We'll get you guys off that mid-major train and get you back onto one more pick I have, and then we'll run through some quick totals and get you out of here. Like and subscribe if you can. This channel is not anything that I pay a lot of attention to, but if I can get some kind of steam from these picks and this March Madness, it really helps with like basketball, hockey, and then we can just kind of look into the World Cup and soccer, which are other angles we like to play. So if you guys can, shameless plug, like the video for me at least if you watch it or made it anywhere this far. Maybe drop a comment below and say, keep going, something like that. Anyway, I'm going to move on to Vanderbilt at Ole Miss. Ole Miss just broke a 10-game losing streak to a flailing Auburn Tigers team, but they were able to get the win. So shout out to Chris Beard for that, because this team made the Sweet 16 last year. And now they are way under 500. They have no postseason aspirations whatsoever of anything. This game doesn't really mean much. Vandy has lost 3 out of 4 after being a really big powerhouse top 15 team. So I think they need to right the ship here. And this line at 6.5, I see it at 7.5 at some places. If you can get 6.5, even if it's a little juiced, I would take it. Vandy doesn't turn the ball over, and Ole Miss is going to need them to score some points. Ole Miss is not a proficient team. Chris Beard hangs his hat on the defensive end, but they're 86th in defensive efficiency. So not even being a top 50 defense in a loaded SEC conference has caused them a lot of problems, and they can't win any games. And Vandy plays this really unique style of basketball ever since, they've become this better athletic program, their football team too. They play this really unique style where they run 2 true point guards out there on the court, and they share the ball like crazy, and it's really popped. They got Miles back over the weekend. He is their better of the 2 guards, and with him being back in the lineup and them just kind of needing to facilitate his game rhythm again before we kind of ramp up to where we need to get to in these tournaments, I just like them to share the ball. These 2 teams, they played a 3-point game at Vandy back in January, but Vandy was up 13 points with 6 minutes left, so they were more than covering this number, and it kind of shit the bed, and Miles didn't play in that game. Ole Miss, just flat out, they're a dead man walking. Chris Beard's got to go back to the drawing board and either get himself some better players or figure out something here with their offense, because they can't keep up. So those are going to be our 5 picks. Vandy minus 6.5, Kent State minus 10.5, UNC minus 2.5, Texas Tech minus 7.5, and UMBC minus 4.5. So I realize we're taking all favorites here, but these teams, they're more than capable of covering these numbers here. Let's run through some quick totals that we did like. Totals that I did see: Tennessee and South Carolina under 141.5. This is going to be an under train, by the way, so if you don't like unders, just end the video now. Tennessee, South Carolina under. It's not because of Tennessee, but you see Tennessee was able to dictate the pace against Alabama, keep that game the way that they wanted to keep it. They still weren't able to finish the job, but they kept that game an offensive juggernaut under wraps. I think that did take a lot out of them. South Carolina can't score the ball at all, and Tennessee's defense is not going to do them any favors. I think South Carolina struggles to score 60 points in this game. I could see Tennessee winning this game, 70-58, 72-58, and this barely staying under the total. But I like it. I like this total. Getting it 5 or 6 points under where it probably should be. I got it at 136.5 on my model, so 5 points under. So I like that. Back to the Texas Tech and TCU game. Because Texas Tech has been so offensively efficient and TCU has been so miserable on offensive efficiency, I think we find a happy medium where TCU tries to muck this game up as the only way that they can, and they need to win games. And Texas Tech, after that, that rock fight with Iowa State, I think they'll gladly play a slower offensive pace game. And again, them at home, maybe they hop out to a little bit of a lead and then kind of choke out TCU, take them out and drown them out. 147.5 is too high. That's implying somebody's going to score 80 points in this game. And I don't see it with the 7.5. You know, you got what, a 78, 71 game get you over. I don't think that we get Texas Tech scoring 78 points, and I need them to cover, so that's what we want. So I think we get more of like a 74-67 game, something around that kind of number there. So maybe something around that line. Oklahoma State here playing UCF in the Who Can Score More Points Bowl. Oklahoma State's been a good team, but they've been a bad team on the road. But they've been scoring a lot of points. They give up 82 points a game, but they average 84 points a game. So they're 29th offensively, but they're terrible defensively. And then you got UCF who's scoring 82 points a game as well. So you got two teams scoring in the 80s on average, with two defenses that give up somewhere in the high 70s. I'm sorry, I said Oklahoma State scores or gives up 82. They give up 77. So both these teams are giving up high 70s points and scoring mid 80s points. And I think when you run them together, this total of 168, I see it's gone up to 169. So if you can get it down to 168 or 167, even with some juice, I think that we get there. I think both teams score in the 80s, which is going to get us over this number. I do expect a competitive game in this game, but I think UCF also pulls it out for anybody here, homers that are watching. I do like UCF to win that game. And then the last one we have is Florida and Mississippi State. This is not because Florida can't carry most of this total on their own, because that's what I expect to happen, but Mississippi State's offense is not good. This is a 22.5 point spread, so in no way, shape, or form is Mississippi State supposed to hang around. Florida played a very tough Arkansas team and beat the crap out of them, and a game that was highly anticipated, and I think maybe that cost them a lot of their energy in this game. I think we see some reserves play late in this game. Florida's got the conference locked up, so what are they really playing for in this game besides just sharpening their sword? And with a 22.5 point spread, you don't need to sharpen anything. You kind of got exactly what you need to get out of this team. Florida's team total is set at 90. I don't even know if they reach that number because they don't have to. Mississippi State's team total is 68. So right there, that lands you on, if you get 90 to 68 there, you're looking at 158.5. This team, the game total is set at 160.5. I like the under. I just do. It's not, and again, it's not because Florida can't score 95 points and just not care about their defense, but I don't think that Todd Golden's looking to do that. I think he's going to get some younger players some minutes in the second half here. Again, sharpen the sword for everybody. You never know who needs to show up or an injury's there. I just think Florida goes flat out just nuclear on them in the first half. We might get like a 45-23 first half, some absolute blowout where the spread's already being covered. And then they can kind of coast to like an 88-60 win, 88-65, whatever number, but well under this 160 total. So that's what I'm going with here. Spreads and props, give us a follow. We're doing this for you guys. So, because I don't need to, because I'm good at sports betting. So I'm just offering some of my information out to you guys. Hope you can use it. And I will see you on the next video. I'm going to try to put these out more regularly again. Time permitted, I will do what I can for you guys, but anything you can do to kind of encourage it with likes, follows, tell a friend, share it with somebody, anything that can help anybody would really help me out. So thanks a lot, guys, and all the best. Let's go make some money.